Good evening, I'm Bob Garner, and we are here tonight with Ask the Specialist. Our special guest tonight here on CMU are folks from the DNR to answer your questions. So call them in, the number will come up at the bottom of your screen. Hey, thank you for joining us tonight. It's for another edition of Ask the DNR right here on CMU Public Television. Our special guest tonight I'd like to introduce, but before I introduce these guests, let's get to the core of how this whole thing works. We have folks over here that are answering the phones and taking your questions. And I'd like to introduce these folks right now. We have Dave Haupt, who runs the front desk at the Cadillac DNR office. Dave Haupt, who also has brought a list of questions that he's getting at the front desk. Sue Sabisky also works at the Cadillac field office. Derek Tonello is here, Mark Tonello's son. You'll meet Mark in a minute. And my kid, Anders Garner, is over there too. So if my grandkids are watching, your dad's right over there, right in the corner. Now to introduce the folks that will answer the questions, we've got Mark Tonello. Mark is the fisheries biologist for the Department of Natural Resources out of the Cadillac office. He has a fancy title, but I'll let him tell you that one. And then we have Russ Mason, who is the chief of the Wildlife Division. And Russ is always great to have you here. We really appreciate your candor, Russ.
Thanks, man.
And of course, you don't know how to be any other way, do you?
Unfortunately, no.
And of course, Dean Molnar is here, and Dean is the assistant chief of the DNR Law Enforcement Division, and has been here 13, 14 years now.
Right.
And always answering questions, and it's just great to have you here. Let's start off with some questions that were called in by, or tweeted, that sort of stuff. Facebook. I will be rifle hunting, I don't know where this came from, I will be rifle hunting a new piece of property for the first time this fall. It's just east of that major Duck Lake fire. We're in the Paradise area. What kind of hunt can I expect?
You can expect plenty of deer in there. It's going to be just fine, and you might take your shotgun as well because there's going to be some grouse. By the way, that's turning into some pretty good sharptail country, perhaps. So
hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Look forward to a bright future there.
Okay. On Twitter, this came in. If the NRC approves QDM for the Northwest Lower Peninsula, will more antlerless tags be issued for the public land?
We will be recommending more tags up there because part of this deal is reducing the number of deer as we improve the quality of deer in those 11 counties.
Okay, and also you're talking about now proposing that maybe the youngsters and the oldsters can don't have to really comply with this?
The proposal came in that way. Whether the commission approves it, it's not clear. Now, here's another piece that's very important. We've got 6, if that goes forward, 6 different kinds of antler point restriction in the state of Michigan. The UP type, the Drummond Island type, Northwest lower, Northeast lower.
Yep.
Whole bunch of this stuff going on. The commission asked me today to come up with 1 or 2 antler point restriction types that we'll go forward with in the future.
Okay, well, and that makes sense. The more continuity in the law, the better they get followed.
Well, we want just nice, simple regulations for people like me.
Yeah,
So.
Or people like me who are going to hunt no matter what the regulations are. Right, exactly. From Facebook, a company called Rack'em has a product called Bow Mag, where you can load a bullet at .357 or .38 caliber on an arrowhead, and when it hits the animal, the bullet goes off. Can it be used on an arrow or crossbow? Is it legal to hunt with in Michigan? You guys are researching that right now.
Right, we're looking into that one, Bob. I mean, on the face of it right now, it's all archery equipment. It probably looks all right, but we want to make sure that we're giving the right information out. So we're doing a little bit more research because they do load, like you said, a cartridge in the head of the arrow. So you've got a narrow archery equipment, but you've got the ballistics. So we want to make sure we're right on it. So we'll get some information out on that one as soon as we come to determination.
I'm not completely nuts about that idea, but
it's different.
Anyway, it is very different. And from Facebook too, Governor Snyder recently proposed completing a hiking trail system that stretches from the viewer says Belle Isle to the Wisconsin border. Really, it's Ohio that it starts in. Will DNR funds be used to connect the dots? Not hunting and fishing money.
No hunting and fishing dollars. Now, trust fund dollars may be a big part of
Trust
that.
fund. But those aren't DNR dollars. Those are state of Michigan dollars administered by DNR.
It's an example of how we're turning non-renewable resources into something of value to the people of Michigan.
And Natural Resources Trust Fund, folks, it's been good to a lot of communities, a lot of counties, and a lot of hunting has developed because of that. So anyway, here in Michigan. And then Mark, let's go to probably the Dave Hopt is getting this question all the time at the front desk at DNR in Cadillac. Well, how do I figure out all the trout and salmon regulations?
Sure. Well, you're going to want to start with the 2013 fishing guide. You'll get this when you buy your new fishing license. It's new this year. It's smaller. It should fit in your tackle box. It's on sturdier paper. We made some of these changes after consulting with a lot of anglers around the state. So we're pretty proud of this new guide. The thing that it doesn't have is the trout and salmon, the stream maps that it had 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. And the reason we're not printing thousands of copies is the cost of that. Those maps, okay, they're still in existence. They are available online. Okay, michigan.gov/DNR, and then click on fishing on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see, just scroll down a little bit, and you'll see a picture of this. And if you click on that, you can get a PDF form of this, and you can also get the maps. And I have talked to some people that don't have internet access, and if you call our DNR, one of our DNR offices, we'll print these out and mail them to you if you can't get on the internet. So.
Okay. A viewer from Charlevoix wants kind of an update on wolves, and I know that's tough right now to give an update. Russ, what can you tell us?
I can tell you today we made a presentation to the commission and recommended a wolf hunt to resolve conflicts in 3 parts of the UP. One of the zones is Gogebic County. Another is sort of pieces of Gogebic, Houghton, and Ontonagon counties. The third is over in Luce and Mackinac. The overall number of wolves in those hunts is 43. Hunting and trapping are both recommended to the commission. They'll take action in
It's
May.
a small fraction of the wolves.
It's a very small fraction. In fact, it will have no impact on the overall population, and it's specifically designed to resolve conflicts with livestock, pets, human health and safety, and hunting dogs.
Okay. What should I do, Russ, if I see a baby animal, lost baby animal wandering around? Little possum, little coon, something like that?
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. A fawn, that season's coming up, or that time of year is coming up in a month or so. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. It never, ever turns out well.
It never does.
Bob,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to throw in there too. It's illegal to have any wild animals in anybody's possession. Okay, so not only is it a bad practice because that fawn's mother's probably close by, but you're also doing something illegal. In the rare case that something happens and you come in possession of whatever, okay, if you go online to our website, there's a list of rehabilitators. Those folks are trained, they're licensed through us, they know what they're doing as far as taking care of the critters, but as the chief says, best policy, leave it alone, the parents will come back.
Areas of the state where I can get a fuel firewood permit. I guess they're available in many areas where there's state forest land, right?
State forest land permits, yeah.
$20, and you need to contact the local DNR office
Absolutely.
to get that. Okay, I think that one came from Sheboygan. Can I target shoot on state land?
Right, you can target shoot on state land, but they have to...
Unless it's specifically posted
Right,
or
unless
not
it's specifically posted to close, and there's not that much up in our area up here, but a couple things to maintain is safety. Safety is extremely important. You have to have a good backstop. You have to have a target of something you can shoot at. Okay, the big trick is you can't walk around the woods just shooting at stumps, and please take your trash out. If you take something in, take your trash back out with you. A lot of times we get questions, can I clay bird shoot? Okay, and the answer is yes. Okay, we suggest that you don't go to the same spot all the time and have that buildup. Sure, the clay birds will decompose after a time, but be sure you pick up your holes when you go.
Exactly. Dave Shaw, Lieutenant Dave Shaw, and I talked about that this week, that that there are some places where you can tell they really weren't hunters, but they went out to shoot and they just made a mess of things and didn't clean it up. I hope they get pinched for littering somewhere along the way, because clean up your mess. Same thing you learned in kindergarten, you know, from your mom. You know, it's very simple stuff. When can a mentored hunter hunt for turkeys? What if the mentor has a different season or has already taken a turkey?
Not a problem. All they have to have a turkey license. The question also comes in, I go out, I shoot my bird, am I still legal to be able to take my mentee out? And the answer is yes, because you had a valid license at one time. You've harvested your bird, you've tagged it, you still have a license. And as a reminder too, for the mentees, the mentors, the kids, the youth,
yeah.
They can hunt any of the seasons. So I think that's where the question is coming into is, I may have the last season, can I take my youth out in the first season? Absolutely.
Okay. Folks from Lakeview want to know when a bobcat season would be open for Lake, Mecosta, Isabella, Montcalm, you know, those middle counties, Newaygo County. Any chance of that in the future, Russ?
There's a chance of it in the future. We're looking at that now. That's possibly something we'll be talking about in 2014.
Okay. 37-year-old wants to go hunting this year. What does he need for hunter safety? He needs it, doesn't he?
Well, he's got two options. Take a hunter safety
From
class.
Onaway, by the way.
What?
Onaway. From Onaway.
Onaway, okay. Take a hunter safety class, get your certificate, or you can. We also have the apprentice license. That for 2 years somebody can hunt under apprentice license. They don't need hunter safety, but they do have to have somebody with them, 21 years of age or older, that is licensed to hunt the same game they are, okay, to accompany them. So if somebody just wants to try it, I'm not sure if I really going to like hunting, but I like to try it. I don't want to go to that class. Take advantage of the apprentice license. It's a great tool. But if you think you really want to get into it, take that class.
Oh, take that class.
Absolutely.
Take it anyway. It's just, it's just so good for gun handling and everything else. Safety is the major concern. Moved to Crawford County, and ORVs love to ride the fire roads, but cannot. Why has the rule changed where we can ride county roads, but we can't ride on the fire trails? That's from Crawford County. That's from your neck of the woods. That's where you grew up. Yeah.
My hometown. Well, the difference is that we have not changed our regulations within the department to open up our state lands. The counties have passed ordinances to open up their roads. So it's two separate issues.
Yep.
So, you know, there's some concerns on our part with opening up our roads to, you know, damage and more people moving off, you know, causing erosive, you know, on hillsides, that type of things. But they have to remember that they need to be sure that they are staying on county roads and know where they're traveling before they shoot off one of our trails.
Okay, on state land, in fact, we don't have a forester here, but maybe we can conjure up an answer on this one. This one comes from Empire up in Leelanau County. Where on state land, where does the log money go? You know, for the money from state forest.
The money from those sales actually supports the Forest Resources Division. That's how they're funded, just like we are funded off of game and fish dollars and license fees. So they're actually using those to income to run our programs.
And Glenning, folks from Glenning want to know if there's a rumor the DNR is changing its name, and is it state or federal funded? Well, it's basically state funded, but there's Pittman Robertson dollars too.
It's a little of both.
Yeah, I haven't heard any name change.
No.
No more name changes. We got over that a couple of years ago.
We got the patches back to where they're supposed to be.
Okay. Okay. Montmorency County, this call comes in from Waterford, next to my old hometown there. From Waterford, Montmorency County near Hillman, there seem to be less deer and more elk. The focus seems to be on elk there. Are the elk moving the deer out? Is the forest changing? What's going on there?
There doesn't seem to be any evidence for deer being pushed out by elk. It's true that elk are more adaptable than deer, but in this state there's no evidence that elk are having that impact.
Okay. Folks want to know, in fact, there's two questions in a row here, one from Sheboygan. Why does muzzleloader season open up later in Zone 2 than it does in 1 and 3? And should they be, this viewer thinks they should be the same. Actually, it's a matter of deer numbers and things, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, but it could be open.
It could be.
Okay. Gold prospecting. Folks from East Jordan with a little gold bug here want to know, what are the rules for gold prospecting? No?
Go ahead.
I can take that one. We've had
Nothing
several
like
calls
a fish
on that.
biologist who knows all about gold. This is great.
Yeah, well, I get the most important rule is that there is no gold prospecting in designated trout streams. So that's
Okay.
the first thing. If you've got a stream that you want to prospect in, call the DNR office and determine whether you can indeed prospect there. And then once you determine that it isn't a trout stream and you can prospect there, then I would contact DEQ and they will give you the rules and regulations, but it is legal to do in non-trout streams in Michigan.
Okay, hey, Mark, you get a gold star for that one. That's pretty
How about a
doggone
gold
good.
nugget?
Hey, yeah, you want the nugget, not the star. Facebook folks have asked, have bobcats been planted in St. Clair County? I don't believe so, have they?
No, but they've been seen down there. Every now and again one gets there, but no, we're not moving them around.
Okay, and from free soil, so kind of the farm belt, orchard belt there, in light of the fact that there's still so much deer damage to crops and fruit trees, do we feel that the herd is under control?
I think we need to work more closely with some of those fruit growers, and we're doing that now.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of real good questions. This one comes from Petoskey, but there are several duplicates of this already this evening. When will you be able to just buy a turkey tag over the counter like we do with deer?
Well, in the northern
coming,
part of the
isn't
state, it's still a resource that we have to manage very carefully. In the south, basically, it is almost over the counter, but we still want to maintain that notion that turkeys are special and somewhere between big game and small game. So that isn't likely to change anytime soon.
It is a spring season, and it is just delightful. If you haven't hunted turkeys, get a turkey call. Go call them. You don't have to hunt them, but your next, once you call one in, your next trip will be to get a shotgun.
Well, Bob, too, they can also get the 234 hunt. Right. I mean,
yeah, that is over the counter.
That's over counter. So there is an over counter.
Purposes,
right.
Over the counter.
Almost a month-long season.
Right.
And that has changed. When I started hunting turkeys, and I think I shot my first one 79 or 80, when I hunted turkeys, there were only, they estimated that year 7,000 turkeys in the entire state of Michigan. And now what are we at, 175,000,
Something like
180,000?
that. It's a wonderful opportunity in Michigan.
Incredible wildlife success story and lots of fun. From Holly, from down in Oakland County, what are the differences between baiting for recreational and for hunting, and why don't you allow baiting in the early season? There's no baiting between October 1st.
Right.
That's a commission order. You guys didn't figure that out.
That's correct.
That's commission order.
Right, they can't start baiting until October 1st, okay, and again, it's 2 gallons. There's a little pocket up in northeast Michigan that you can't bait yet, but you have to spread it a 10 by 10 area, and baiting runs through January 1st.
Okay.
Then it's recreational feeding, and that has to be within 100, 150 yards of the house.
Okay.
Same thing, 2 gallons, 10 by 10.
Well, we're blowing through the questions here. I'm just looking at the time. We only got a few more minutes till we take a little break here. Mark, give us an update, will you please? Because I know you're watching this all the time. Folks from Hershey, but folks all over this great old state of Michigan want to know, how's the Asian carp outlook?
Well, on this side, the Lake Michigan side, there really hasn't been much change in the last several years. It seems that the Army Corps of Engineers electrical barrier in the Des Plaines River in the Chicago area seems to be holding them back, at least for now. We still do get some eDNA hits. That's an eDNA sampling where we haven't actually found fish, but fish biologists do find DNA, some evidence that carp have been there. So there may be a few in that Chicago area, but there's no evidence that they've gotten to Lake Michigan in any numbers to reproduce. Now, the one negative thing that we had last summer was that there were some eDNA hits over in Lake Erie in the Sandusky Bay area. And so when they got the eDNA hits, they did a lot of sampling with nets and all kinds of fishing gear and never found any actual carp. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire, so maybe there's just a few there, and hopefully not enough to start a breeding population. The other thing I'll say is that there has been eDNA sampling done up and down the coast of Lake Michigan, from Ludington down to the Indiana border, and we've had no positive eDNA hits in those waters.
Okay, well we're going to have to take a quick time out here coming up in just a minute, but Dave, did you want to add something to that real quick?
Right, I want to throw something in there. If somebody suspects they see carp being brought in, last year we had some grass carp brought in from out of state. We were able, our special investigative unit was actually apprehended them because of a tip from somebody that saw these in a fish tank. So if somebody suspects it or sees it, some live carp coming into the state, call our 1-800 number. We want to get right on it.
God bless the public. We've got about 30 seconds left before we go to break. This question comes from Royal Oak. Mark, on an Alabama rig, is it considered like one hook like a Rapala or more?
Yeah, it's considered a lure, basically.
Okay, an Alabama rig, you will explain to me during the break maybe what an Alabama rig is?
I know what he means.
Okay, right now we're going to cut away here for just a couple of minutes, and we're going to go visit an old friend that we visited on Destination Michigan down in the Blue Water area where the water is bluer than blue on the St. Clair River, and it'll be Jenny Olson with who runs a tour boat down there during the summer. So hope you enjoy this segment, and we'll be right back to answer more of your questions. Port Huron is a city whose place in the history of Michigan is as important as any city you can name. It has many historic and beautiful landmarks, such as Michigan's first lighthouse, the Blue Water Bridge, and many others. Across the St. Clair River from the bustling city of Sarnia, Ontario, it is truly an international city. Located on the river on the part of 39 miles that is the St. Clair River, flowing from Lake Huron to Lake St. Clair, we will get a chance to see the city today from the water side aboard the Huron Lady tour boat. And that tour boat that passes next to this city of 30,000 plus is run and it's owned in part by one of my favorite people, known by Michigan Outdoor viewers for many years, Jenny Olson. Did you ever think that you would be owning a boat, taking people out and hosting trip after trip? I mean, how did this come about?
Just sheer random set of events and a little bit of luck. A couple of summers ago, I did some promotional video work for the guys that own Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises and Sleeping Bear Dunes Boat Cruises.
John Madigan and those folks?
Yeah, all those
Bushy
guys.
and yeah.
Yeah, they own, I think, 4 different tour boat operations now on the Great Lakes. So it turns out when they found out that John and Camille Rigney were selling this business that they started 17 years ago, they were looking for some good people to take over, and John Madigan asked me if I wanted to be part owner and manage the business. And I thought, oh, that sounds like fun, working on a boat every day in the summer. Why not? There's a lot to it.
What's the cool part about it? I mean, obviously got to be the people that come on board that are just all gaga. And
Yeah.
Jenny, isn't there a lot more at Port Huron than you thought there would be to see?
Unbelievable, Bob. Yeah, after being, especially on a boat trip like the Pictured Rocks cruises,
Yeah, yep.
with all the beautiful sandstone cliffs, I was thinking, Port Huron, we've got oil refineries is what you see when you stand here on shore and look over to Canada, but so much more. It's beautiful. First of all, the blue water area. It really is. The water is bluer. I know that sounds funny, but it really is bluer. And then all the history that goes along with everything that happens out here. Thomas Edison grew up out here. We've got the beautiful blue water bridges. Michigan's oldest lighthouse is here. And it is pretty. It's got, we don't have sandstone cliffs or waterfalls, but we have a lot of other pretty stuff out here too.
Well, and you can go to Pictured Rocks, you can't look up and see the Blue Water Bridge above you either.
That's right, absolutely.
It's
And
a cool scene.
We get pretty close to freighters. People love coming out here. It seems like the things that people really look forward to seeing are the Blue Water Bridges, the Fort Gratiot Lighthouse, and all those Great Lakes freighters.
Tell me about Captain Laura.
Captain
She's a
Laura,
hoot, isn't she?
She's awesome. She's an amazing lady.
There we will cross again to Canada and to our Sarnia Harbor before
She's only
heading up
26
underneath
years
the
old. She's got her
water
100-ton
bridges
master's
out into
license.
Lake Huron.
She started as a deckhand on the Huron Lady too when she was in high school.
Wow.
And it just became a passion of hers, and she had enough time in and had an interest in learning how to actually operate the boat, and she does it. And this is just something she does part-time for fun. She's a funeral director, and she and her parents own a few funeral homes in town too.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been out on the water many times because there is no better walleye fishing in the world, at certain times of the year than there is right out here where the Huron Lady cruises. And I've seen that so many times, but I've never actually, when you're fishing, you're all, into that. I never actually got the chance to see what was on the shore and see all this. It's cool.
It is very
Surprisingly, isn't it?
It is.
Jenny, with our background from Michigan Outdoors, yours much later than mine. I'm a ton older than you are. But don't you just get the urge to take that boat, knock the windows out, and go catch some perch?
I've thought about it more than once, Bob. Might happen someday.
Someday we'll be here doing this story, and here's Jenny Olson with her Michigan Outdoors perch boat, right?
Could be, you never know.
And we are back with more Ask the DNR. Well, we've got our team of experts right here. And what a handsome group of folks answering the phones over there. Holy smokes. Yeah. Anders, do it right. I got to keep my kid in line over there. Do you need a license for clam fishing from Mount Pleasant? Pretty interesting. Clams.
Well, that's a good question. I don't remember that I've had that one.
I don't remember. What do you think, Dean?
To take musk, I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you need a license.
Yep.
There are some mussels that I know in Michigan are endangered species. So if you were thinking of doing that, give us a call and we'll work through that with you and make sure that you do it the right way and don't take anything that you shouldn't.
And you can call Mark at the Cadillac field office there too. There are discounts for disabled vets on licenses. Why is it only for vets and not for all disabled people? DNR has no control over that.
That's correct, we don't.
That's all decided by the legislature.
That's correct.
So if you think that's important, that folks like that shouldn't have to pay for licenses, get hold of your legislator. On most of the trout streams, you can only catch one steelhead, but the charters can catch 3 to 5. Folks from Shepherd want to know, where's the fairness in that, Mark?
Actually, that's not true. On most steelhead streams, the harvest would be 3 per day. So which is the same as it would be on the Great Lakes for a charter boat or a recreational boat angler. So yeah, there's only a couple of streams in the state that have that one fish per day limit.
One of those is the Little Manistee River?
Correct, just
Folks
the
from
reach.
Traverse City, that was the next question.
Just the reach below the weir on the Little Manistee River has the one fish limit, and then there is a reach on the Platte River also that has a one fish limit.
Folks from Kingsley, that's a fine little town up in Grand Traverse County. They wanted to know, did QDM pass in Grand Traverse? Well, it did, but it still needs to be acted on by the commission, right?
They've done everything they need to do to bring it forward to the commission. Everything to date suggests that it's a very popular alternative in Northwest Michigan.
And another question from the Cherry capital, Traverse City. Why is it the Benzonia and Grand Traverse County don't have a fall turkey season? Well, that's that thing we talked about, isn't it?
Once again, a lot of turkeys. It's very spotty in the north with snow and all kinds of things that are going on. Now this year we will have a turkey season in a Unit J right at the top of the Lower Peninsula. We will open this year.
Okay, any proposal to keep special interest from changing laws? Let me handle that one. I think I know where they're going on the wolves. Yeah, the Humane Society of the United States, the Michigan Humane Society, have tried to make it, they can go out and they can buy signatures and get about anything on the ballot the legislature does that's pro-hunting and turn it around to taking it to a vote of the people. And that's what happens. And when 96, when we had to fight our whole ability to hunt bears in the state because of those folks, we had to fight that. And yeah, the sportsmen, you better stay active, or else you will quickly see that these groups like that are going to be creating the laws instead of the legislature, and you don't want that to happen. It's my plug and my bully pulpit right now. Anything, Russ? And this is always a quagmire, the TB stuff, especially in the northeast part of the state. Are you going to try and grow any deer numbers up there, or you still need to keep those deer numbers lowered?
We need to take deer numbers down up there. We've had 2 herds pop positive up there in just the last little while, and now we have a herd that's popped positive in Saginaw County that could be a very big deal for us, depending on how that turns out. We don't know why at this point, but
that was a question somebody called in from Saginaw. So.
TB remains a huge deal for the state of Michigan, not so much for deer hunters, but it's a big deal for cattle producers and dairymen in this state.
Exactly. Trail permits for snowmobiles went up last year. Dean, how did that happen?
Well, that's working with the...
Folks from Beaverton want to know.
Okay, with the Snowmobile Council, working with the legislature. They got it up so that they can maintain trails better. They can procure more trails. You know, a lot of our snowmobile trails are not on just public lands. They actually have to lease private lands for that. So it's kind of a user pay program to be able to not only have enforcement, but for maintenance and procuring more trails, they need more funding. There's a bill right now, hopefully will be introduced, or part of the, I should say the budget, governor's budget, to raise ORV fees to help do some of the same things.
Okay. If you want more trails and better trails, better maintained trails, you got to pay for it. It's user pay system.
Yep.
Okay. Folks from McBain, fine folks over there, they're wondering what the DNR is doing to regulate the sandhill crane population, because we have got cranes and they are doing a lot of crop damage. I even see it in my food plots too for deer. in turkeys.
Sandhill numbers are way up. They're way up all through the flyway. There's some consideration in other states of hunting them. In this state, they're non-game species. It'd take an act of the legislature to make a game species, and at that point, the commission could move forward.
And at that point, that could all happen. Are there any thoughts on going to one buck tag a year for the entire season?
There are discussions about that every day of the week, someplace in the great state of Michigan, but we're not looking at it right now.
And especially during deer camp season. Yeah, every deer camp has a thought on that too. No plans, Russ. Folks from Scottsville want to know about selling bear hunting licenses over the counter.
Not at this point, and you know, we created a lot more opportunity for guys once we actually went to a draw system.
Okay, why do you have to have an ATV sticker, folks from Alpena? Geez, Joey's country up there. They want to know on an ATV to ice fish and not a snowmobile.
Well, actually, that question has come up recently as to something that, you know, if that needs to be looked at. Again, that'll be part of a package that if you possibly just use it like you do a snowmobile, you don't just for ice fishing. That question came up, and I know there's some discussion on it right now.
Okay, RAP hotline. You remember that number? 1-800?
1-800-292-7800.
Folks from Ferndale, say it again, please.
1-800.
You asked the question. 1-800.
292-7800.
And that was one of the best law enforcement programs ever devised. It was there when we put that together in the legislature.
Yep, absolutely.
Many moons ago.
And that number, Bob, is on any of our publications and also on the website.
Okay, Ferndale, you got what you wanted. Let's ask a question that comes again from Holly. Holy smokes, Holly smokes, I should say. We're getting a lot of questions from there. What's the reason for the loss of pheasant numbers in Michigan? There are many reasons, aren't there, Russ?
There are many reasons for it, but mostly it has to do with changes in agricultural practice. If you look at the landscape and aerial photographs from the 40s, it's a checkerboard, lots of edges, lots of weeds. These days, with corn prices and bean prices, it's laser leveled and they're going from ditch to ditch and there's no habitat for them.
Okay, and the trees are growing up, avian predators, there are many things. You just got to have habitat to have pheasants.
Well, and not only that, but we've got this pheasant restoration initiative going now, and actually we're doing just fine there, and we intend to put about 7,000 acres into pheasant habitat on a number of game areas in southwest into southeast Michigan, starting this year, provided that we get our license increase.
Habitat, okay. Habitat's the key to all this. Folks from Taylor want to know, and if I get caught stealing a snowmobile, can I still get a license to own a gun?
They get caught stealing a snowmobile?
Yeah.
Well, probably.
They got a record, I'm sure.
I was going to say, well, the price will be over the threshold for a felony, so the answer would be probably not, because convicted of a felony, you're not going to be able to possess a firearm.
Okay. What procedure, folks from Fenton want to know, should they use to keep his neighbor from hunting within 450 feet in that safety zone near his home?
You know, Bob, that question comes up a lot. And first thing I said, have you talked to your neighbor? And I've had that conversation with them that you're hunting within their safety zone. 9 times out of 10, it can be resolved at the local level. If that person still refuses to stop, or not stop hunting in that, give us a call at that 1-800-292-7800 number. We'll get an officer out there and we'll work with you. If you want to prosecute somebody for hunting within your safety zone, we'll help them out.
Okay. Are the okay? We already took care of this one, but folks from Hale must not have been tuned in. The Alabama rig is legal. It is legal. I knew exactly once you told me what we were talking about. Yeah. Okay. Have you given any thought to moving deer hunting earlier so it does not interfere with bow season in Unionville? Shouldn't interfere with the bow season.
I'm not sure what the question is. The answer is no. We're not considering moving deer season
We've already got enough
earlier than-
opportunities to take deer in this state. Okay. Dean, what's the legal way to carry a handgun in a 4-door pickup truck if you don't have a CPL?
Okay, it needs to be in a case. Okay, in a 4-door pickup truck. Okay, if you don't have a topper on the back end, it'd be like a trunk on a car. Okay, it still needs to be in a case, but if you've got it inside that cab, be sure that thing is in a case and it's locked inside that case. I mean, when you start talking about concealed weapon laws, there's some pretty serious felonies on there that if they're not sure, they can either call the state police or the local sheriff's department to get the proper way to make sure.
Yeah, make sure that's okay.
Yep.
And how do you access state land if it's landlocked by private land? Folks, Facebook question coming in. If accessible, how do you find where to access it? You can't really.
Well, first let's start with that My Hunt program, you can go onto our website, and we literally have everything anybody needs to know about how to get onto state land and aerial photographs, and you can actually use your GPS with it if you're clever. It shows every access, and it also shows cover type for guys that hunt grouse
Sure.
and woodcock.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
if it's completely landlocked, use a helicopter. You're not getting
Yeah,
there.
you're not getting there, right, exactly. And usually the state got that because taxes went unpaid or it wasn't a great piece of land or whatever. So.
Bob, and that's part of our land management plan too the department has, is we're trying to consolidate and actually get rid of some of those type holdings.
Right.
Consolidate our land masses, because that is a problem in areas, and you can't cross private property without permission to be able to get
Without
to it.
permission, you got to get permission from other landowners to do this. Cool question, Mark, and I'm not sure this is not in your area, certainly in your area of expertise. Folks in Wixom want to know, will Atlantic salmon be planted near Frankenmuth?
Not near Frankenmuth, but we are planning a lot more Atlantic salmon all up and down the coast of Lake Huron this year, including as far south as Harbor Beach, I believe. Again, I'm not a Lake Huron biologist, but I do know that the Lake Huron guys are very excited about this. The small plan of Atlantic salmon that we've been doing up in, working with Lake Superior State up in the St. Mary's has created a pretty good Atlantic salmon fishery in the northern part of the lake. So by planting more Atlantics, we're hoping that that they will fill the void that was left by the Chinook population when it crashed, 10 years ago or so. Okay. So we're excited, and those thumb anglers that I hope will be able to catch some Atlantic salmon.
That's one of my favorite areas of this state. Why can't we plant more steelhead in the Big Manistee River, Mark? Would it do any good?
The reason that we can't is that our hatchery system is absolutely maxed out on steelhead. So for us to raise more steelhead, we would have to, again, we're going to have to create some more infrastructure, some more raceway space. So the only way for us to get more steelhead into the Big Manistee River would be to take them from other waters. And usually the folks that fish those other waters would not be too thrilled with that. So,
Okay.
Good question.
Hey, Dean, will suppressors be legal to hunt with? Folks from East Tawas are kind of interested.
Well, as of right now, no, they're not. I know there's some interest in that, but right now, no. We are not moving anything forward at this time to allow for them. So they make sure people understand they still would be illegal to use in the state.
Russ? Folks from Chesterfield, I think Chesterfield Township, want to know, can we make a separate license for pheasant? Well, DNR can't do that, but the
No,
legislature could. There's probably no real reason for it yet.
Well, here's the bottom line. We are going forward with a license package where we reduce our license number from 231 to 30. The whole point here is to get things simple so people can get out and hunt. As part of that, we'll have a base license that'll include pheasant hunting, a duck license, a deer license, a bear license, a fur trapper license, and that's pretty much it. Trying to make things simple for people is the way we're going to go.
Okay, folks from Mikasa want to know, how can the DNR block up private land? I don't really understand that question, but I imagine if a piece of private land was again bordered by state land, you just go through state land to get to it, right?
I guess
Unless they put up a gate or something, I suppose, maybe.
Okay, maybe blocking off. Okay, maybe some access. Oh, you know what it might be
Yeah.
is that part of our trail system.
Oh.
Okay, and when it comes onto private property, there will be a gate there.
Oh, okay.
So that's a possibility, maybe, of what they're going with.
Hey, Russ, Facebook, they want to know, do I need a license for wild boar and pigs in mid-Michigan?
No, you don't need a license. Kill them all. Go out and basically go on private land. On public land, you need some form of a license, a small game license, a concealed carry permit, anything at all will do. We encourage anyone and everyone to take pigs if they see them.
Okay, and this is a question, we've sort of answered this before, but Dino, let's take this one again, because it's crucial to the heritage of hunting and fishing. Alpina, the folks want to know, can I take my daughter hunting without her taking a hunter safety course?
Right. Okay, there's a couple different opportunities there. If they're 9 years old or younger, they can have the mentored license, and they don't have to have hunter safety for, take a youth out with that. Or we talked earlier about the apprentice program. There's 2 years that somebody can give it a try, see if it's something they want to continue doing. So for 2 years, they can take it as long as they have a mentor with them. And again, we said earlier though, take that hunter safety class. If get the chance, take that class. This spring is when we have a lot of our classes. Go on the website under our Hunter Education Program, find out where the classes are and get into a class.
Hey,
Well,
quick, yeah,
Before we go away,
go right ahead.
encourage people to buy those Menard licenses. It's a great deal for
Absolutely.
kids. It's got a fishing license. It's for small game. There's a deer license on there. There's a turkey license, and they're cheap. Buy them and go.
Anders' two boys, my grandsons, Devin and Drake, they're 7 and 4, and they may not actually hunt with them, but they were not in Michigan but for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, and I had their licenses bought. And they are proud as punch about those licenses.
Bob, I took my 2 grandsons that you know well in the Hoagland Hardware.
Oh
here.
yeah, you bought their licenses?
Grandma and I and Dad took them in there and had them up on the stools and buying their licenses, and they have their little hub. They're proud of them.
And Dean Jr. probably had to turn you upside down, shake the change loose to get it to
Grandma bought them.
Grandma bought it. She's a soft
There you
touch.
go.
Yeah. And this also came in from Facebook. What is the law on getting out of a stream while fishing and walking on private property? You know that you hit an obstruction somewhere.
If it's navigable waters,
Yeah.
okay, a wading fisherman has the right to be able, if they come to an obstruction, deep hole, logs, or whatever, they can get out of the stream, take the shortest route
Yeah.
around the obstruction, get back in. Question I get, well, it's a big deep pool, and as I'm going by it, can I fish my way? No, you can't fish from the bank.
Okay, yeah.
Get out, get back in, keep going.
Okay, and that makes sense. Hey, folks from Osceola County, your old neck of the woods there, or your new neck of the woods, I should say. Can felons hunt?
Can felons hunt?
Yeah.
I get that question a lot. Well, first off, if somebody's convicted of has a felony on their record, okay, it's a court decision whether or not that they can have a firearm or a bow and arrow or a weapon in general. We'll sell them a license. It's whether or not they have the ability to exercise the use of that license.
Okay, we've got a question. We got a second bite of the apple, and I'll take it because it gets to you, Mark, from Livonia. Why don't we plant more summer steelhead in the Manistee?
Well, that's a good question. We do still plant 35,000 summer run steelhead every year. It's a very good fishery. It is a bit of a niche fishery, and one thing I would not do is I wouldn't trade summer steelhead for our standard Little Manistee strain steelhead. I think most of our steelhead anglers still go in the spring and the fall. So I'm very supportive of the summer steelhead program in the Manistee. Our goal is to continue that for a long time into the future. But at this point, I don't see us increasing the stocking rates there.
Okay. And then folks from Williamsburg, I really don't understand this question. I kind of take a little umbrage with it if it's conveyed the way it was written down, if they meant that. Why is Fisheries Department set up for tax revenue rather than putting food on the table? I don't get that. Maybe they don't like the price of the license or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
or
boy,
maybe the salmon that are contracted out. They might be going there.
There's
too.
a lot of opportunity for anglers to catch and eat fish.
365 days a year.
From small bluegills all the way up to 30-pound king salmon. So yeah, I guess I'm not understanding the question either.
Anyway, I thought maybe you guys had heard there was some movement at some. Why can't you hunt bear with a crossbow? Folks from Harbor Springs want to know, why can't you hunt bear with a crossbow?
Well, in the archery only area, maybe that's where they're going, in the Red
okay.
Oak. Other than that, in the States you can. But in the Red Oak, a crossbow is not considered to be archery equipment during that archery only season. I think maybe that's what they're talking about.
What it is.
Okay.
It's the only one it could be.
Yeah.
Okay, this question comes from Facebook. If I catch a beaver that fails to drown in my drowning set, how do I dispatch it? you got a problem. I think you.
Well, it's their responsibility. So they can shoot it. I would suggest probably maybe that'd be the best way for them.
You can't shoot it. You can't shoot it because I thought it was illegal to shoot a beaver.
Not if it's in the trap, and I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, anyway,
The other
whole
way
deal is that humanely
put it down.
take care of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's always the higher calling, no matter what the law is anyway. So, Muskegon Heights, I think, or Houghton Lake Heights. Anyway, are there any cougars or wolves in Lower Michigan? Well, you can certainly testify to the wolves. So.
Let's start with cougars. There are no cougars in Lower Michigan that we have any evidence of. There are 3 or 4 running around the UP looking for friends, and they tend to leave. We don't have any established population. We occasionally hear about a wolf in the northern lower. We might have one or maybe two, but we don't have any reproducing population, frankly, and we would know about it because they get in trouble in a heartbeat. So
Yeah.
that's the way that stands.
Exactly. Why can't we go back to back tags to prevent trespassing? First of all, they never did that. So, but folks from Livonia, that way when a person trespassing, you just look with binos and get the number to turn them in instead of confronting them. Well, poachers really didn't wear their back tags very much.
No, Bob. And really, when it gets down to it, the smaller back tags, the last ones we had, the numbers are pretty small. You had to get right up close to them. And with our licensing system we have right now, there's not an ability to be able to put out a back tag. You know, if somebody's seeing something again, you know, take down information, what the people are wearing, what they're driving, if you can get a license plate, information like that, call the 800 number, we can get it to an officer and we can investigate. But the back tags,
Well,
they're
the
a
myth
thing
of the
past.
back tag was they got passed around or it prevented
Exactly.
people who maybe had their back tag on another coat from going hunting if they, yeah.
They also get lost. There is that piece. I've had that happen to me twice.
And yeah, exactly. And is there any state now in the country that, maybe two, that still demand a back tag?
I don't know, maybe New Jersey used to.
Yeah,
as
that's
of
about the
about
last one I heard
6
about,
or
yeah,
8 years
none that I
ago.
know of.
Michigan was one of the last ones to keep the back tag, and does that have antlers? This is a cool question. Cool question, Russ.
So you
Does
think.
that have antlers, do they shed them every year? Folks in Maple City are interested in that.
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I would suspect yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's a secondary sexual characteristic, so they're most likely
They
would.
most likely would, yeah. Hey, cool fish question too. From Byron, folks from Byron. They want to know, can you catch 50 perch and 25 bluegills in the same day?
No, I believe those are in combination.
Okay. Okay. Can the legislature? This comes from Epiphet in the Upper Peninsula. Why are they're questioning? You know, is there any way the legislature can and put it on the ballot the same way anti-hunters can to have a wolf season? So, and I guess they could, but the legislature.
Why would
could
you
just
want to?
pass
That's
it.
like buying a pickup truck for the gas.
No, but what they could do is they could put it on as a ballot initiative that would not be repealable. They could do that, but probably the way they're going about it is the best way anybody knows how to do
The
it.
legislature is being very sensible in their approach to this.
Hey, why do bait stores sell crappie umbrella rigs if they are illegal? Folks from Oscoda want to know.
They're not illegal. They are legal.
Just like the Alabama rig.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so they are legal. So if you're in Oscoda, go get yourself a crappie rig. You'll be doing well. Can you elaborate, Russ, a little bit? Facebook folks want to know on the TB scare in Saginaw County.
It's a pretty big deal. We had a dairy there that showed positive on a slaughtered cow. A large number of cows are TB positive in that herd. The Department of Agriculture and the Department of Natural Resources are now doing tracebacks and traceouts. We're going to be doing a lot of things. First off, immediately, right now, Wildlife Services is removing deer within about 2 miles of that property.
Pete Butchko in the crowd? Yeah.
Pete Butchko in the crowd. We are going
Good guys.
we are issuing disease control tags to every landowner within 2 miles and every livestock producer within 10 miles of that incident site, and we will be doing enhanced sampling next year. This is a very big deal for us. It's the first time we've had anything this far south since the mid-'70s.
Oh, some of the finest milk comes out of those cows in Saginaw County too. I hope it's just an outlier and a crazy.
We hope it's an outlier, and again, we have no idea how this happened.
Hey, speaking about cows, Dean, folks from Everett want to know. Your home county there, Osceola, what can be done about the neighbors' cows getting out and eating my food plot? Now, this I know this sounds funny, but I did a food plot for a guy with lots of big turnips in it, and the neighbors' horses got out. And inside of a couple days' time, they pretty much.
Absolutely, they can. Well, two
It's not a
things.
DNR issue.
No, it's not a DNR issue. Again, as we said earlier, have you talked to your neighbor? If you got a problem, go knock on their door, see if maybe you can talk to them about it, and bottom line, if you can't, call your local animal control.
Okay. And where are the most swine locations in mid-Michigan? Where would you even start to find them, Russ?
Well, first you can go to our website. We have a very up-to-date map of every sighting in the state that either a swine kill or a swine sighting. If you wanted to go hunt them, there are places like Gratiot, Saginaw, where we know there's swine on. We have swine on a number of locations in the Thumb and in that Midland area, as well as some other places in lower Michigan.
Marinac, cool question. Trapping. I love trapping questions. Is it legal to set 2 colony traps side by side?
No.
No, you can't set 2 colony. Can you explain what they're asking for the colony trap?
Colony trap is, let's just say, typically a trap this long, square. Okay, so that when typically muskrat would come in, they can get several muskrats into the same trap. So it's not like a conibear, you set one trap, one set. This can catch several at a time. So no, you can set them side by side end to end. It's not a problem.
Hey, you know, I'm swimming in questions here. You folks out there are the greatest. Another Facebook one. What's the state law for shooting guns in a residential township? There is no state law on it. It's all controlled by
local ordinance, and that's something that folks want to be sure they check with their local authorities, because a lot of municipalities do have ordinances that prohibit the discharge of not only a firearm but also bow and arrows.
Okay, and where does all the money going? Geez, oh Pete, here go the questions. Where's all the money going on licenses, hunting and fishing licenses? And they're calling from Michigan. Well, that's good, because I can answer that question. In 38 years that I've been associated with the legislature doing Michigan Out of Doors, involved in conservation one way or the other, everybody's always wanted to point to an illegal use of the game and fish monies, which is hunting and fishing, and nobody's ever found one. So it goes to what we like to do, hunt and fish. Why is it legal to sell bait in a non-baiting area? You can't control that.
Can't control that.
If somebody's in that TB area and they got 10,000 piles of carrots, it's not up to DNR to. Well, you can't. You have no authority over it, right?
Right. We have no authority over that at all. It's trade. But what I would suggest is somebody sees somebody buying it or sees somebody baiting in that TB area, call our wrap line, and we'll have an officer come out and investigate it.
Exactly. Baiting goes on in those areas, and don't expect to be written a piece of ticket for it, a piece of paper if you're doing it. Manistee, cool question. Want to know what are we doing in Michigan about the goose problem? Holy smokes, we've opened up all the valves on the stove and put the heat on these critters.
Well, we're doing all kinds of things, and it's a balancing act, because frankly, they're a wonderful resource in the state of Michigan. There's a lot of goose hunting goes on, so there's that piece, but we work very closely with all kinds of people to move geese and shake eggs and do what we can to resolve those nuisance problems as well.
Yeah, but we are, you know, there's a report, and if I can reach it right here, there's a report that handles some of that goose issue too. It's the annual report of the Wildlife Division, and you can get this online, Russ?
You can, and there are going to be hard copies in some of our service centers as well. And whoever was asking about where's the money go, in there by each of our objectives in our strategic plan, that's where the money goes. It's in there.
I've heard more allegations in 38 years, and I've chased down more rumors, and they've all amounted to nothing. And I've seen all these audits. The feds come in and audit, and everything's spick and span. So anyway, hey, where would they start? These folks at Bay City want to know where they could get a good DNR boat ramp. They like DNR boat ramps there. How would you start that, Mark?
Actually, if you go on the DNR website, there is the Mr. Biss, the MRBIS link down. I think it's on our main fishing page down towards the bottom, and it has pretty much every boat launch in the state. Not only DNR boat launches, but other local entities of government, like some counties have boat launches, metro parks downstate, some townships. So go on the DNR website, get on the Mr. Biss website, and that's where you'll find all the public access sites on our waterways.
Questions keep coming up, so we'll revisit a couple of questions. Combination of folks from Leroy and Traverse City. What's a legal buck? The chart is confusing. have the QDM laws passed. Can you just go through that, Russ, that right now we're probably going to QDM for Northwest Michigan. There are other proposals, and you're trying to make them
We
so
want
that
to
they
try to
don't
make
want to
them
confuse.
legal, and basically what we're going to probably be looking at is a two-part system. In southern Michigan, think 486. If there were going to be antler point restrictions proposed there, we want 4 on a side because that would protect 50% of the young bucks. Above that line, you know, in the northern lower, it would be 3 points on a side. That would protect 50% of those bucks. What we're trying to do is move animals beyond the 2.5 year into the older age class.
Graduate them into some age.
Exactly.
Right. Get some age. And in fact, we had earlier a question I didn't bring up. Some folks from over at Ubley had called in, and they were asking the question about why do we let such young deer be shot so that their genetics don't get passed on? Well, the genetics on a 1.5-year-old deer are already there, and they could be the biggest buck in the world. You shot at a 1.5-year-old, and he could have passed on.
You can get some dandies down south that are 2.5 years old.
Exactly. Emerald ash borers killed many ash trees on a conservation easement property. That's not a DNR matter, but can he cut them down? He's from Leelanau County, wants to know. You'd have to see whoever has got the superintendent control over that conservation
Usually
easement.
conservation easements are on private land, so
Right.
you'd have to work with the landowner. Unless he's referring to one that's, you know, some property that's owned by a land conservancy, and then you would have to work with that land conservancy.
Okay, and what are the federal regs, or how do you find the federal regs on crows? Well, you really don't need to find those. It's in the guide.
It's in our hunting
in the
guides. We
digest.
set a crow season and 14, 15 guys go after them.
Okay.
So it's there.
It's Burton, Michigan. I'm going to ask a couple of quick questions. Any thoughts on discontinuing doe tags in Presque County? Probably not, since it's
Absolutely not.
okay. And they think the herd needs to respond and grow back a little bigger. When will Isabella County be part of an antler restriction program? Real quick.
Well,
Could be soon.
It could be. It doesn't have to be. Again, these are all commission decisions. We work with sportsmen. We may make a proposal to the commission,
Right.
but the commission has full
They
jurisdiction.
have the full authority to
Yeah.
do it. Hey, we have to say goodbye to everyone. Dean Molnar, thank you so much. Russ Mason, and of course, Mark. I don't know what we do without the three of you here. This has been a fun time. Thanks to those folks that answered the phones over there. You did one heck of a job, and the questions came pouring in. And thanks to you, the viewers. Hey, remember to join us. We do this twice a year on CMU Public Television. We'll be back again in October. But thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned. If you can make a contribution to CMU Public Television, they actually care about hunting and fishing here in the great old state of Michigan. We'll see you in October.